My name is Mike Pfaff, and this is my YouTube channel, Living in the Illusion. Now, in our last two videos, we talked about, and I developed a model around how we create all of the objects in our life and our world inside of us. We create our world inside of us and then project it outside. And when we project it outside, we believe that the world that we live in is outside of us. But it's an inside projection. So we're going to move ahead with that model. We're going to look at it slightly differently. And now look for the conclusion. The conclusion is your outside world that you think is outside of you is a direct reflection of what you're doing inside. The outside projection is a direct reflection of what you're creating inside through your past experiences and memories. That's what the last two videos were about. Now, I'll put a link to those videos because they will be helpful. In the meantime, we'll go through, we'll change things around a little bit in a moment and go through a little presentation, a little review, and then come up with, hopefully you'll see the conclusion, your outside world is an inside creation, which is great news, because since you created it, you can change it. That's the value of recognizing the illusion that you are operating in. The value, you can, if you don't like it, you can change it. Now, before we do that, you might notice on the table next to me are the three books that I published. And also, in case you didn't know it, this is a stone sculpture. There was a period in my life where I did a lot of carving in stone. Interesting hobby. And if any of you are doing that, you'll know how it is. Now, the thing is, though, it's noisy. So make sure you got a lot of room around you, or you're in a garage or something where you're not going to let the noise interfere with other people. But it's a great hobby. Now, in a moment, I'll be back and we'll start our discussion. Bye now. Well, we're back again. And again, we have our whiteboard, and I've already filled out some stuff, so I'll have to go through it again, but you won't have to watch me draw it. The topic is your outside world that you think is an outside world is an inside construction. This is the important part. it is an inside construction. Now, the last two videos, which I'm going to link up here, I think over there, wherever it comes out, goes through this in detail. We're not going to go through it in detail. We're going to go through certain aspects of it pretty quickly. Now, again, in this one here, we have these two. They represent you. Both of them are the same. See, I put same here, so you know. Except in one instance, they are input. They're taking information in. On the next one, they're taking information out, but it's the same person. It's the same you. So you do both of these functions, and you do them very fast, and you do them, you think they're together, you think they're one, but they're different aspects that they're doing. Now, we have the outside, and we have the inside. Now, as we talked about before, the outside, you have to look at the video, but it basically says everything's outside of you. Everything is energy. Everything outside of you is energy. It's unmanifested energy. In other words, it's not making any particular thing, it's just flowing and moving and undulating and up and down. It goes in and out like the tides. But it's just energy. It's just energy out here. It's infinite. Now, unmanifested, I put unmanifested because we think about manifested. We want to manifest a wonderful world. Okay? This out here is unmanifested. Both terms, unmanifested and manifested, have to do with shipping. It's terminology used in shipping. What kind of terminology is that? Well, when you fill up a ship, you have a manifest, which is everything that's on the ship that you're transporting. Even now, we do that. If you go on a cruise, they're going to have a manifest. The people, their names, what they bring on, how much luggage, all kinds of stuff like that. That is over here, manifested. Over here, there's certain things that are on the ship, kind of secrets sometimes. They're called unmanifested. There's no record of them, but they're there. So those are shipping terms. Manifested and unmanifested. Just a little background. Now, all what's on the outside, that's it. All. The all is what's outside. And usually that is, we think about the all as consciousness. It's infinite. Infinite because it's everything. Okay? If it's infinite and it's outside of you, it's inside of you. So if you look for consciousness inside of you, say in your brain, you're going to find it. Why? Because it's there. If you look into the cell, down to the cellular level, and look into a cell, you'll find consciousness there too. You'll find consciousness within the cell. So there's no place you can go that there's not going to be consciousness. So we ride on the waves of consciousness. Now, so out here, this energy is taken in. Now I call this the inside of us, even though we don't know where the inside is. So we have the inside of us, and how do you get the outside inside? And those other videos will tell you that, so it won't be a mystery. You do it with your 5 senses. There's no other way. Some people think there is, like a 6th sense. They think they got a 6th sense. But we're only going to talk about the 5 senses. And we're going to recognize that we take information in from what's out here through our 5 senses. So the 5 senses are transposing, now I want to use another term, translating might be a good term. No, that's not a good term either. Well, let me tell you what it does. It takes this unmanifested energy, and your senses convert that into, inside of, that's why it's here, convert that information into electromagnetic and chemical signals that we can use inside. That the systems of the body and the mind and the brain and the central nervous system can use to transmit information and data. Now, the information that comes through your senses does not go to the body, does not go to the body. Information can't go through the body because the body does not have the facilities to do anything with the data. So the data comes in great quantities. Your senses, all of them, pull in great quantities of information in the form of bits of data per second. And that information, a lot of it isn't recognized or needed. See, in order to have anything have meaning for you, you have to have some reference to it. So the information that comes to you, comes into you through your senses, is meaningless unless you have some reference to that information that you can, so that you can use it. Now, what is the reference information that you use to determine how important the input data is? Again, it's your past. Your past experiences tell you what's important today. And you might not have thought about that, but that's basically what happens. You take the past experiences that you've had, which now are memories, and you filter, I use the word filter because that's the closest I can come, filter this information looking for what is relevant for you. A lot of fun. So you get the information and you pick out and only what's important, relevant information for you directly. What's relevant for me, what's relevant for you, what's relevant to your dog, all different. All different. And out of that data, that high-graded data, you create inside of you your world. So right here, inside construction. You construct your world based upon input data from your past. Now I got subconscious mind up here because that's where your data is stored. I mean, it's a name. We don't know where that is, but it's a name that we give to the place where you store your memories, your background, your belief systems, all of that kind of stuff. Okay? And you use that to filter the incoming information, and you make your world. Now, what's in your world? All the objects that you think are outside of you. This is the mysterious part. All of the objects you think are outside of you, you're creating inside based upon your past, your experience, and the information that's coming through your senses. So this is the input that creates your world. Now keep in mind what we're looking for. Your outside world is an inside construction. Now, I want you to kind of get that. So you constructed it inside. Now how do you get it outside? Because now you got all of these things inside of you, but you believe that they're outside, and you can touch them. You can touch my teacup. Because you think it's outside. And it looks so good, doesn't it? I have another video called, Do You See This Cup? I'll reference it here. It might give you some insight into what you see outside of you. So now we have the input, we have the world that we create, that we live in. This is the one we live in. There's nothing out here to live in. This is energy. This is what you live in. And from that, you construct all of your objects, all of the objects. You have manifested them inside. Unmanifested out here, manifested inside. Now comes the mysterious part. This is the part I want to get. It's not the full thing, because I'm going to change this. You're going to see that this is going to change in a moment. So your conscious mind, which is the only part of you you're aware of, it's the only part where, and when your conscious mind is talking to you, who are you? Who are you that the conscious mind is making aware? An interesting question. Another one when we posed before, it starts the same way. Who are you? And before that we said, you're not your body. So if you're not your body, who are you? Oh, we're getting into some very interesting questions, most of which do not have an answer, or at least one we want to hear. So we don't pay attention. Now, the conscious mind observes all of this stuff going on, so it can tell you. And it observes the world that you're creating, and also the objects that you are manifesting into this inside world based upon this outside energy. And so it, not knowing better, it projects, that's what the red line down here is, it projects this information, this construction, onto the outside energy system. Outside energy system. This is the point that I wanted to get to. And how neat is that we've reached it so quickly. Outside, I want you to think about, see, I told you, everything is moving. going in and out. These are energy fields. We don't know what they are, so don't look for them. You're not going to find them. You're not equipped to find the energy fields. We rely on science to tell us what they are. And so far, they haven't done a very good job of that. So outside of you, I'm only going to draw a few. I want to give you an idea, so I'm going to draw a few. So we'll make believe this is an disturbed energy field. It is disturbed. By that I mean it's interacting, it's active. It's not flat, it's active. And now I got to move it to your hand because your hand will feel. It's a sense I'm looking for, the sense of touch. So you have a certain feeling in your hand around the disturbed energy that's outside of me. You got all these little pockets all over, and they coalesce into little bumps and things that light, flashing light for your eyes to see. They end up as molecules of fragrance or odor. They end up as on your tongue as molecules of taste. Okay? Now, I want to get this point. Nothing outside, no molecules, no light, nothing from the outside energy system goes through your senses. Goes through your senses. None of it goes through your senses. It's all converted through the magnificence of your senses into electromagnetic and chemical signals in the form, because that's the whole spectrum. That's the whole. We only get a little bit of the whole spectrum, electromagnetic spectrum, that we can use, because that's how the senses are designed. So we only get a small section of that inside of us. We get the electromagnetic creation through the senses of this data out here. No molecules, nothing from the outside goes to the senses. It's all converted. It's all converted. And I often say this, going down your optic nerves. Now you're looking at me through the video. There's no little me going down your optic nerve. You can't smell me, well, because it's on the internet, but you couldn't do that because it goes through the olfactory, and it's all converted into electromagnetic. There's no molecules of smell that goes inside. It's all converted. So you are creating inside. You are creating your world based upon an interpretation of the information. That's why the last two videos were called All Is Energy, All is Information, All is Data. That's all that's there. And from that, you create your world. Oh, but you think it's out here, because the conscious mind is telling you, it's projecting what's inside onto this energy field out here that is undulating, that is moving, that is coalescing into certain parts. And so it projects. Now, if you got a car, you're going to have an energy of the car out. You're not going to think so. You're going to think, well, no, That's just not energy. That's a car, and I sit in it, and I can drive it, and oh, how magnificent is this illusion that you can do that. So all of these here are projected, projected onto this energy field out here. And you know what it'll look like? It'll look like the world you see, you touch, you feel, you smell, and you taste. That's exactly what it looks like. But it is uniquely yours. Now, the point. Your outside, what you believe is the outside world, is a direct reflection through projection of what you created inside. You won't think so. You won't think it is. You think, well, no, that's the real world. And science already tells you there's no real world. There's no real objects. Everything is energy. When you go down and down and down into the standard look at the subatomic particles, the standard model, there's no energy. I mean, it's all energy. There's no objects. There's no thing. There's no thing. But you project this world, this creation, onto here, and you look out with your senses, because now you have projected this on here. You are feeling, you are seeing, you are touching, you're using your senses, and you are going to verify this world. You won't see that it's only energy in a certain form, because you can't picture what that would be. You can't picture that would be. But that's how you made that. That's how you got these objects, by the energy that's out here. And now they're objects. And the objects are manifested inside because of this. See, this is a feedback loop. This is a feedback loop. You throw it outside, it goes up to your senses, it goes in, you make your world, you make your objects, you project it outside, and the energy moves, and your world moves, and that's where we're at. Now, isn't that interesting? Because there's a lot of things in the body that are feedback. We've talked about some in other videos, not necessarily about the body, but about the body and the mind, and the active mind, and the interface between the subconscious, the active mind, the sensory input, the conscious mind. There's all kinds of feedback loops, and they operate so fast, most of them, that your conscious mind just can't keep up with them, and so it believes that what's out here is your outside world. So, now, the next point. If your world, if you feel like a victim in your world, if you're depressed in your world, now we're getting into mental health. If you are anxious, has nothing to do with what's outside of you. Has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with what's outside of you. Although in most mental health therapies, They say, well, we're going to change the outside. We're going to manipulate the outside. We're going to change your diet. We're going to change exercise. We're going to change, we're going to get you involved in meeting other people in other groups or going back to school or whatever you're going to do. They're going to manipulate the outside. Won't change anything because you're making an inside. You got to change the inside. Now, I said this before, and I'm going to say it again, and then we're going to probably end. What do you have to do to change the inside? Because the outside is a direct reflection of your inside. What do you got to change in this model? And it's what therapy is all about. We don't think so. We think, oh, we got to change our diet, we got to take medication, we got to do other things. No, look at the model. What do you have to change? The only thing, because it will change your world. Your filter system. What is your filter system? Your past experiences. What do you have to do with the past experiences? If they are negative, they're not supporting you. You have to heal them. You have to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself has nothing to do with the other person. But the other person ends up being a trigger for you. And when you heal these, when you forgive yourself, doesn't matter what the other person does. They'll no longer trigger you because you have changed the inside, and you will manifest different objects, different feelings, different emotions. And they will end up out here, and you will see a different world. Not because this is different or changed, because this is everything. It doesn't change. It's everything. It's infinite. It doesn't change. You can't add to it. You can't take away from it. It's everything. In here is where all the work is done. In here is why you go to therapy, to change this. Not to change this. Not to change this. This is everything. The good, the bad, the ugly, it's all there. The difference is you're filtering it out to get the world that you have. You're filtering it out to get the world that you have. And then you're blaming what's out here. The other person, the situation, what happened in the past, why you didn't get a promotion, why your girlfriend left you, all this kind of stuff. You got to change what's inside. You change what's inside, you change the outside. Okay, I got to let you go because it's real close to time. It's only got about 20 seconds and I'll be gone. Subscribe below, hit the like button, and we'll see you next time. So be good to yourself.